Renewing your work permit while in Canada is possible. In some cases, you may be allowed to continue working while the Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, processes your application. To renew your work permit or modify its conditions in Canada, you need to submit a new application at least 30 days before your current permit expires. During the processing of your application by Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, you are allowed to remain in Canada legally. The terms of your work permit may change if there are changes to your current employment, such as a pay raise or additional responsibilities, or if you are offered a different job or wish to work for a new employer. However, you must obtain a new work permit with the updated conditions before starting any new job or working for a different employer. If you have an open work permit, you may extend it as long as you remain eligible to work in Canada with an open work permit. How to apply? In most situations, the process of extending or altering the terms of your work permit requires submitting an online application. To apply online, you will need electronic copies of your documents and will be required to pay processing fees for the application. Before uploading your forms, you must respond to some questions and establish an account that enables you to submit your application and monitor its status. If IRCC approves your application, you will receive either an extension of your current work permit or a new work permit with the revised terms. Can I work with an expired work permit? If your work permit is about to expire or if you wish to make changes to its conditions, you must submit a new application at least 30 days before the expiration date. During the processing of your application by the Immigration, Refugees and Citizenship Canada, IRCC, you can continue to work legally in Canada. If there are changes to your current job, such as a change in pay or new responsibilities, or if you want to work for a new employer, you need to submit a new application to change the conditions of your work permit. You cannot work for a new employer until you get a new work permit with the updated conditions. If you have an open work permit, you can extend it as long as you are still eligible to work in Canada with an open work permit. To extend or change the conditions of your work permit, you must apply online and pay the processing fees. Once you upload the required documents, answer the questions, and create an account, you can submit your application and check its status. If your application is accepted by IRCC, you will either get an extension of your current work permit or a new work permit with updated conditions. If your work permit expires while IRCC is processing your application, you may be allowed to continue working, depending on the type of application you submitted. If you applied to extend your work permit and it expires, you can continue to work without a permit until a decision is made on your application, as long as you are working under the same conditions as your current or expired permit. If you applied for a new work permit to change your employer, job, or work location, and then your current permit expires, you can continue to work for the same employer named on your original work permit until IRCC makes a decision about your application. However, you cannot start working under the conditions of the new work permit until the application is processed. It is essential to note that you cannot extend your work permit beyond the expiry date of your passport. After you apply to extend or renew your work permit, IRCC will send you a letter that you can use as proof to your employer that you are eligible to keep working under the same conditions as your original work permit. IRCC states that if the application is still being processed, you can even continue to work past the expiry date while on the letter as long as your working conditions remain the same. How can I demonstrate to my employer that I am authorized to continue working? Once you apply to extend or renew your work permit, IRCC will send you a letter confirming that you are eligible to continue working under the same conditions as your original work permit while your application is being processed. According to IRCC, you can even work past the expiry date of your current work permit as long as you have the letter and you are working under the same conditions as your previous permit. This letter can serve as proof to your employer that you are authorized to work in Canada while your application is being processed. If my work permit expires before I apply for its renewal, what should I do? If your work permit has already expired and you did not apply for a new one in time, you are no longer authorized to work in Canada. However, you may be able to restore your status as a worker if you meet certain requirements. To apply for restoration of your status, you must submit your application within 90 days of losing your status, meet the requirements for your stay, such as not working illegally, and have met all the conditions listed on your expired work permit before it expired. It is important to note that there is no guarantee that IRCC will approve your application for restoration of status or for a new work permit. It is recommended to hire an experienced Canadian immigration lawyer to help with the application process for renewing or extending your permit.